I, female, 30, have had a weird childhood to say the least. I was born into a really wealthy family, and my father left my mom when I was very young. Nobody knows where he went, and this took a big emotional toll on my mom, who blamed herself and partly me for taking the spark out of the marriage and basically boring her husband and causing him to run away. Obviously, this mindset is crazy toxic, and it affected me a lot growing up too. I was never left wanting anything in terms of luxury, but my mom's emotional abuse took a massive toll on me. As soon as I graduated from college, I ended up moving states and leaving my mother behind. We were low contact for a while, but then she came over to visit without my consent and basically ruined the relationship I was in at that time by being hyper aggressive and judgmental towards my partner. After that, I ended up cutting off all contact with her and filing a restraining order against her. I remember telling her I could care less about your money when she claimed I'll never make it on my own. When I was around 25, I met my current husband, Jacob, and we got married when I was 27. My mom was obviously not invited, but she heard about it through the family. That led to her breaking her restraining order in a bid to get in touch with me and make amends. But I wasn't ready to hear it and shut her down. It's been years since then, and I thought I had finally gotten free of my mom's controlling presence. However, the things that have happened over the past month have proved otherwise. At the start of the month, Jacob and I shared some amazing news. I was pregnant. We hadn't really been trying for a kid, but we're in a position where we could start a family. Financially, sure, we'd have to drop a few creature comforts, but it would be worth it to have my little bundle of joy. My husband was ecstatic upon hearing the news, but literally a week later, his whole mood changed. He began to talk about how we weren't ready for a kid, how this wouldn't be the best thing for us and our careers, etc. He even asked me to abort so we could try again later. I had no idea that my husband could be so heartless, and it caused a fight between us. However, I had full faith that we would be able to work through it and at the end of the day, move forward. But completely taking me by surprise, my husband left the house in the middle of the night and filed for divorce. He told me that this pregnancy had made him realize that we had grown apart as people and had different goals in life. So he wanted to end things right now instead of being trapped with a kid. I was disgusted at his mindset, and while it was scary to be pregnant alone and without a husband, I decided I would prefer raising my kid alone than with this guy. Obviously, he would still have to pay child support, and that would make things a little easier for me. I agreed to the divorce and called a lawyer, but just a week after Jacob left the house, he was back at my doorstep talking about how he was manipulated by that bitch. I had no idea what he meant, but I wanted to hear him out instead of slamming the door in his face. That's when I found out that my mom had basically been using Jacob as a puppet all these years. Jacob said, after we got married, your mom contacted me and asked to meet up. Against my better judgment, I agreed, and she said that she wanted to look out for you. Kind of like a silent guardian. Ever since then, she's been giving us large amounts of money, which I use for the household. But when she found out that you were pregnant, she freaked out and said that the marriage would end up getting ruined and that I would hurt you. She stopped sending us the payments, and to be honest, OP, both of us have gotten used to a certain kind of lifestyle with what your mom sends. I don't make as much as you think. That was the worst possible thing I could have heard, and I feel like a part of it is my fault. I never asked Jacob much about his job and how the money came into our joint account, but I should have realized that we were earning way more than was normal. At the same time, I was so pissed at his reaction to everything. Was he mad at my mom or was he mad at losing money? I still can't believe how casually he asked me to have an abortion, and that speaks volumes about what matters to him more, his family or his money. I asked him to leave while I processed everything, and as he walked away, he said, "I've realized that you matter more to me than the money, OP. I want to be there for our kids, so please take me back." But I shut the door in his face. I hate that I've been using my mom's money without realizing it, and I hate the fact that he doesn't seem to realize how badly he's broken my trust. I know that my mom is trying to help me in some sick way, but this isn't what I want at all. I honestly don't think I have it in myself to take Jacob back, but some of my friends are telling me to be practical and accept that I need some help to raise this baby. WIBTA if I stick to my guns? Update 1. After reading all of your comments, I do feel like it would be for the best to continue with a divorce. Thanks for all the resources you guys have shared about personal financing and raising a kid. I'm not really comfortable sharing my yearly takeaway here, but I think even without Jacob and Mommy's dollars, I should be fine. I got into it with my friends who think that I should have taken Jacob back, and a lot of problematic opinions came out of the woodwork when that happened. I think the best way to describe it is internalized sexism. Like, they believe that it's important to have a man around. When I contacted Jacob and explained the reasoning behind my continuing with the divorce, he got really hostile and told me that I was being ungrateful. I wasn't having any of that, though, so I said, at least I didn't disrespect my spouse and talk to their insane mother for a handout. Grow up and realize that you were a dick for leaving, and I'm not taking you back. I haven't received any information from Jacob about what my mom is up to, though. And she obviously can't contact me due to the restraining order. I just hope the divorce can happen smoothly. Update 2. I can't believe it, but Jacob just pulled up to the divorce hearing with one of the most expensive lawyers in our area. It's clear that my mom is still working on everything behind the scenes and is set on ruining my life. I can't even begin to fathom what is going on in her head. And a part of me wants to establish contact with her to try and find out what the hell she wants. However, deep down, I know that's a bad idea. Something I was thinking of doing is reaching out to one of the few people I still talk to from my family, my uncle. He obviously isn't on good terms with my mom either, but maybe he'll be able to dig up what's going on for me. Besides, both of us kind of decided never to discuss mom, and I haven't updated him about being separated from Jacob, so all of this would be a big shock to him. Nevertheless, I ended up telling my uncle everything that had happened, and he told me that he'll get to the bottom of this. It was going to be a pain in the butt, but maybe it would help me figure out what my mom's motives were. Update 3. Wow, just wow. My uncle really went above and beyond to figure out what was going on. I admit what he did was a little below the belt, but it was super effective. Basically, even though he doesn't get along with my mom, he went over to her house and asked to make amends and discuss OP and her behavior. Then he spun a story about how I had contacted him, all distraught about the divorce, and my mom was foolish enough to admit that her plan was working. He eked out even more info, and basically my mom had been paying Jacob and controlling every aspect of our relationship. She wanted me to live a good life in her way and thus made sure that I was having the ideal relationship with my husband. It's super creepy, and honestly, she needs help. But the spanner in the works came when I got pregnant, and my crazy mom basically told Jacob to deal with the pregnancy to continue receiving money from her. That's when his behavior became even more erratic, and that's what led to the divorce. Now that mom thinks that I won't back down from the divorce, she's decided to take out all of her rage on me by trying to give Jacob the upper hand in court. I guess she thinks she can back me into a corner and force me to reestablish contact with her after that. I may be reaching out, but I feel like a lot of this comes from her idea that having a kid will ruin a marriage, and she ended up projecting that on me. Hopefully, with all of this clarity, the divorce will end up going my way, and I can try and start afresh. Update 4. So I'll keep this update short, but I got the divorce settled in my favor with reasonable alimony and child support. I feel like Jacob is tired of the drama that my mom's money brings with it because a lot of people have commented that he's been seeing someone. Good for him, I guess. But I am just happy to be rid of the whole toxic situation, and I guess I'll have to be absolutely certain about who I date nowadays. Although I feel like Jacob and my mom were just a perfect storm of shittiness, so it probably won't be repeated. NTA and both your ex-husband and your mom are massive a-holes. Her for obviously trying to control your life, and him for thinking that money would be more important than your own safe space and boundaries. NTA, but this story is so exhausting. I really hope you can cut ties with all of these people, because I can't imagine going through this without losing my mind. Props to your uncle for that massive operation he pulled, though. He's a real G. Next story. Me, 19, female, and my soon-to-be husband, 21, male, got engaged after 4 years together. I was really young when we first started dating, and the nagging of my mother-in-law wanting us to have kids early always bothered me. I took my complaints to my fiance, but he dismissed me, saying that I should understand his mother's ways. I didn't get her hopes up about me having kids because I always said that I wanted to be mature enough to be able to raise a kid. As I said, I just dismissed her nagging until last week. My fiance came home from work. That, by the way, he works with his mother. Saying, I was with mom in the office, and after she told me some things, I came to the conclusion that you should stop taking your birth control pills. Unbelievable. Didn't even want to argue about something this ridiculous. Time passed and we didn't touch this issue anymore. The weekend came and we went to visit my mother-in-law's house. She took me to her room saying she needed to have a word with me and my fiance. She sat down on the bed and said, I had a discussion with Louise, my fiance's name, and I told him about my concern about you guys not having children at the appropriate age. Who knows if you're going to be able to have children with this disease of yours? As for now, he will no longer allow you to buy the birth control pills per my request. He never bought them for me. I work 9 hours a day, and everything I buy for myself comes from my money. About my disease. It's a disease that all the women in my father's side had, uterus cancer. My great-great-grandmother passed due to it, and my great-grandmother too, and my grandma had it after giving birth to my father, but the doctors took the uterus out before the cancer could spread further. My grandma was always cautious with me. Never had any issues, and I got to the gynecologist 2 times a year to do exams. I got enraged and looked at my fiancé, who was sitting beside her, and just averted his eyes. You will regret leaving the thoughts of having kids after your graduation because God time is now. And I got a revelation from the pastor that one of my family members is going to try to have kids, and it's not going to be able to. I'm sure that person is you, and I'm worried for my son. I can't leave this marriage be if your thoughts don't align. When she said that last line, I exploded, saying, Are you so desperate for me to sit on your son's cock and have a baby? So what? It's not your business. If we're having kids or not, or if we're having sex or not, this must be a joke. The argument escalated, but I don't remember much because I got so enraged that I started trembling and had to go home to calm myself down alone as I left my fiancé there. When he came home, he was pissed off, saying that I disrespected his mother and that if I didn't apologize, he would consider breaking off the engagement. Honestly, I'm not making any effort to set things straight as I'm very offended by everything she said. So AITA? NTA. You'll probably disagree with me because 19-year-olds think they know everything. You are too young and don't have enough experience to get married to anyone. If you met him at 15 and stayed together 4 years, you need to experience more relationships. If you want a life for yourself where before you're even married, the mother-in-law tries to dictate your relationship to you and your boyfriend allows it, then you won't be happy. She will try to dictate everything about your relationship. As long as he works with his mother, this will not stop. Let him break up. He's doing you a favor. Do not marry this man. Do not marry into this family. Lock up your birth control because one or the other of them will tamper with it the moment they can sneak access, and believe me, they will try to sneak access. These are two people who believe you have no rights and that he and his mother can dictate the rest of your life and what happens to your body. Any man who allows his mother to talk this way to you will never, ever have your back. His mom will be making every decision in your marriage. Walk away now. You have a bright future, and there are millions of men out there who will treat you like a human being, not an incubator for their mother. Next story. I, 22, female, was a third grade teacher in the 2021-2022 school year. As much as I loved the students, my mentors, administration, and mother all factored into me leaving after my first year of teaching. It was hard to say goodbye, but I work at a law firm now and am extremely happy and love everyone around me. I was talking on the phone with my mom, 60, female, this morning, and she brought up the topic of teachers getting raises. I told her I think it's amazing because teachers do so much and have to put up with even more. The least they deserve is a raise. This set her off, as she works for the state as well and thinks it's beyond unfair. Teachers are getting a raise and she's not because they work for the same people. I told her that it's not fair to compare jobs and pay when they aren't even in the same department. She is a court reporter and has already had over 20 days off of her job this year, not including weekends. The argument escalated to the point where she was shit-talking teachers, saying they whine about working and get summers off, so they shouldn't complain. I snapped. I yelled at her and said, "Mom, no wonder I didn't want to continue teaching. Do you hear yourself?" She didn't say anything, so I followed up with, "Mom, I love you, but really?" The conversation came to an end and we hung up. Now she's talking even worse about teachers. It's the only thing she will talk about. And saying court reporters are treated just as badly. I never said they were treated good. Only that a raise is so amazing for teachers and not to compare professions that have nothing to do with each other. I feel like an a-hole because she wasn't the only reason I left teaching, which was harsh of me to put on her. However, she will not stop trying to prove her point by saying she has it so much worse off than teachers, and she deserves a raise more. I'm visiting both her and my dad this weekend. I don't know if I should just let her talk or if I would be even more of an a-hole for standing up for teachers, even though I'm not one anymore. AITA for how I said it? Does anyone have advice on how I could word things better so maybe she'll understand? Also, I just want to say I will always fight for teachers, especially to people who have power to make a change. My mom is not one of those people, so I don't know if it's worth my energy. Teachers are the most amazing people ever, especially with how things are going. I appreciate all you do for our kids. A raise is just a start. You guys deserve the world. Edit. She's very narcissistic and guilt trips a lot, hence why I feel like an ass for talking back. I rarely do, and she always guilts me. I'm an only child and grew up on 10 acres in the middle of the woods, so I really don't know if I'm the problem for being argumentative or if she is. NTA, your mom is off base here. But you already know she's a narcissist. You can't win. She's never going to care about you or your feelings. The best you can do here is to go gray rock and stop hoping for her to do better. NTA, it looks like your mom just wanted to start an argument and push your buttons. You don't have to oblige her, however. Don't play that game. Come to an agreement not to talk about this. If she won't agree, then simply state that you won't talk about it. If she insists, then leave. She will eventually get the message. I am tired of people ranting about things just to get a rise out of me. I now just politely ask them to stop and then walk out. Example, Mom, teachers have it so easy and don't deserve what they make. I have it so much harder, blah, blah, blah. You, Mom, we agreed not to talk about this. Mom, no, we didn't. You did. You, thanks for the visit, Mom. See you later. Said while picking up your stuff and walking out the door. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.